We'll move on to our last team here, and then we'll talk about that off air. Vancouver. Oh, goodness. Here we go. In the door for Vancouver. We'll go all the way down to my list here. Sam Adekubi, left back from Hatayspor. Richie Larea, a right back from Nottingham Forest on loan. And Levante Johnson, a signing from their academy system. Out the door, Julian Gressel over to Columbus. Christian DeJome over to... Where did he go? DC, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, DC United. And then on loan, Diber Caicedo over to Columbia. What are we doing, Vancouver? You're strengthening your outside backs, and that's pretty good.
Well,
You're strengthening one outside back. You're losing a very good other one. But in fairness, he wasn't really playing outside back. He was playing like
goalkeeper probably.
right midfield in a 3-4-2-1. It was just a nightmare of a formation, but we love it. Um, I think Gressel is better than Larea. I also think Gressel was a full-time thing, but they couldn't hold on to Gressel because he wanted to come back closer to the East Coast. So he was going anyway. So getting Larea in, even on loan, is a good replacement for him. Adekugbe, I think, is a really good addition. I think he's been. I remember when he was at Vancouver first, and he was like the first person from Vancouver to make that move overseas. And we're like, oh, this guy's going to be good. And to be fair, he's been pretty good. He's had a good little career for himself over at Galatasaray and a couple of teams over in Turkey. There, I think he's done well. Um, it'll be good for him to get back and start playing again properly, in next to, in his home country and things like that. And then, the Levante Johnson is just a wing addition at 24 years old, gives them a little bit of depth out wide in a system they don't really use wide players anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Biggest loss outside of Gressel, of course, DeJome was an attacking option for them, as well as Diber Caicedo. So both of those guys leaving as wide players makes sense because, as we just mentioned, they don't really use those wide players in this system, so they need to get them off the books. But they could also play as inverted strikers or what have you. So it would have been, they dropped a little bit of talent from the front line. Cordova, Brian White, Bichir, totally fine front three. I think it's a good window. Outside of the Gressel loss, but they replaced him well. Give me a B- for Vancouver to finish this up. I think they're most excited about Sam Adekugbe, I think, and then obviously Julian Gressel, the biggest loss.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, they definitely lost a number of attacking guys. I'd even include Gressel in that conversation. I mean, I know he's not like an out and out attacker, but I think Gressel really helps the attack. But that was not their problem area. I mean, they have 38 goals scored for a reason. They have attacking guys, Ryan Gauld, Brian White, of course, legend, Petrovite. I mean, they got guys in there to score goals. So they needed to bolster the defense, and in fairness to them, that's what they did. Richie Larea, we know, is a very solid out and out starting level fullback for this league for a long time, and he will certainly do the same job here in Vancouver. And then, as you mentioned before, Adekugbe is another very good addition as well to solidify an area that I think they needed help in. Considering they have three fullbacks on transfer market's roster, and two of them came in this window. I think they did a good job addressing areas of need. Granted, I think based on the system that you were saying before, I don't know if they really use them much anyway, but at least it gives them options. So I'm kind of right in the same boat with you. I think B minus. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the team's in shape to make that playoff push and try to keep their spot in the playoffs right now.
That is an interesting thought. The playoff push, does this put them into a playoff push spot? They're in 7 right now. They're 2 points clear of the drop out of that playoff race. does this keep, with Minnesota going to be hot, Sporting KC maybe going to be hot, LA Galaxy maybe going to be hot, FC Dallas still going to push with their players coming back. Can they survive that? I don't know. I think that's one to watch for sure. Do they have enough to hold off the other teams that are going to be pushing for them?
Yeah, you could argue that they probably could have done a bit more in this window to try to help in that playoff push, but I think they'll be okay. I think they've got enough going for them and enough of an advantage over a couple of teams that are below them that they should be able to hold it off and at least get into the play-in game.
We shall see. I mean, last year I believe that was your pick to sneak in. No, 2 years ago it was. So they missed out last year. 2021 they did make it in the sixth spot. 2020 in ninth, missing it by one. 2019 dead last. 2018 eighth, missing it by two. So this is a group that is always on the bubble, usually always on the bubble, but has very rarely gotten that job done. So let's see if this is a change for them this year. But that is something that we will talk about later on.